Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair ragale ni hao chune shumme washmale ohaya gonzaimus guten morgen. Hi, hugs and hellos, and a very amazing khush amadi to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and Watch You World this morning, alongside the very stunning Maha Makhdoom and the very ravishing or the prodigy Shahzad Khan. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Obviously, it's always a pleasure to be over here on the couch. Hello, Ma. How are you? I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are you going to let me say hello? Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Shahzad. I'm good today. Thanks for asking. We have a great show. It's a really busy show today. And yeah, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, the sole reason behind my excitement, which I thought you might ask that, you know, why are you so excited is that,
I'm too concentrated on the information right now.
Exactly, because you made this choice. But other than that, since, you know, previously I was a video jockey on a music channel, so I've always loved music. You know, I've been promoting, we have been promoting music too as well. And in my individual capacity, I think there's this pure love for music which I carry, and I think that, you know, we need to share it with you too. But music, since we say, has no boundary and has no particular language, so what we need to do is that we probably need to share the music of the globe.
Okay, absolutely. And as we use this platform, you know, multiple times to bridge gaps and show you what is happening in other parts of the world, and also to educate ourselves and share information about the history, the culture, and people's the role they played in creating something and what impact it's actually had on the rest of the world.
Exactly. And other than that, you know, since we get to know about country music, we get to know about jazz music, we get to know about classical music. So when we get one fusion, I think that's what we call the music of the globe. And this is what these people are doing over here. They are here from the United States of America to collaborate with Pakistani local artists and to create global music.
Exactly. And also, while doing that as well, to educate the Pakistani audience as well of the history and the impact that American jazz has had on music itself. So we have been very lucky.
Best of luck, Ma.
Thanks. I need it. And I know my producer's going to get really upset if I get it wrong.
No, they're not.
So we have been joined by the Gabriele Stravelli Jazz Quintet, and from the band we have been joined by Gabriele Stravelli. She is a singer, composer, has been a solo artist since performing as a soloist since she was 15, from Amsterdam to New York. David Finkel has described her as a powerhouse of individual expression. They performed at the Jazz Standard, and they headlined the Eleuthera Festival in the Bahamas. Wow. The New York Times has covered them, Wall Street Journal and Huffington Post. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Warm
Great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We've been joined by Patrick O'Leary. He is a bassist, in the capacity of a bassist with Gabriele Stravelli Jazz Quintet. He has toured with Lionel Hampton Orchestra. He has also traveled Africa, Asia, which was as a state ambassador, jazz ambassador for the Kennedy Center of State.
Hello, a very warm welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
I kind of messed that up a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing brilliantly.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Besides Patrick, we have been joined by Scott Robinson. He plays the saxophone. He's been collaborating for at least 30 years with Patrick and has played on over 270 CDs.
Wow.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
So when we say assalamu alaikum, you know what we need to hear back? Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for joining us.
Excellent. Besides Scott, we've been joined by Michael Kanan. He is a pianist. Since 2001, he's been playing with Jane Monheit, Jimmy Scott, Annie Ross. For over 20 years, he's been performing with Pat, and for 9 years, he has been performing with Gabriele as well. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Besides Michael, we've been joined by Darrell Green. He is a drummer. He's been playing for over 3 decades. He's one of the most sought after percussionists in Europe, New York, and Japan. He has played with Cassandra Wilson, Pharrell Sanders, Wallace Rooney, and the list goes on, and your abilities go on.
Very warm welcome. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for joining us.
You know what I realized?
It's
great to have you guys, but I realized if I was to go over all your profile, the whole show would be going, reeling on all the work that you guys have done,
that's
because
why,
it's amazing.
So I think that's why we decided that we are actually going to ask you guys too as well, so that you can share a bit with us and for all those people who are out there. So first of all, which one of you have been to Pakistan before as well?
Darrell Green.
Excellent.
Very warm welcome once again then, bro. Thank you very much for coming over.
Okay.
So what brings you to Pakistan? Let's start our conversation from here.
We were invited by several organizations. It's a collaboration between American Voices, FACE, and the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan to come here to share American jazz music and also to work with, as you said, local Pakistani musicians, take in the culture here, you know, and collaborate and create something together.
Okay, amazing. And so far, you've done a few performances.
We have. We've had 2 performances so far, and for both of those here in Islamabad, we worked with this, I mean, really incredible musicians. There was a sitar player on both gigs, Ustad Farid Nizami.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you. Who's incredible.
It's the same shoes Maha was in, actually, a second earlier.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And last night we played with a tabla player, Ustad Jaji.
Okay.
You know, both just musicians who, as we have been, you know, have been playing and working on their craft for many years and perform at a very high level.
Okay, so now you guys were invited to Pakistan by all these different organizations and departments. When they asked you, what were your thoughts? Because, I mean, Darrell's been here before, but the rest of you haven't, so...
I know...
Patrick?
Pat is my husband also, just
Oh,
as a side note. We work together.
Excellent.
We were really excited.
Okay.
We were just thrilled to be invited. We had no reservations. We were so excited about the idea of coming here.
Okay, excellent.
Amazing. I think there's one interesting story which I need to share.
Oh gosh,
and that is, so what happened was that obviously, you know, when you travel and you're a musician, so you have to pick up your instrument and then you have to dismantle it and then you have to put it back into the shape. So while Patrick was busy doing that, so Gabrielle actually said that, you know, we can start without him too.
And she's so confident with it.
And I think that this is such a beautiful relationship of husband and wife that you can only do it to a husband or to your wife. That's it.
Excellent.
So Pat, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts about this one?
Start without me.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So being in Pakistan, how is it for you?
Oh, it's great. We love it here.
Okay.
We're moving in.
You're more than welcome.
Okay, excellent.
What about you, Scott?
The breakfast is fantastic.
What did you eat?
Oh, all kinds of spicy, wonderful Pakistani omelet and all these things with hot spices first thing in the morning. I love that.
Excellent. Okay.
Is that the only thing you ate?
No, I had a look. The point is that you know, this music that we play, jazz music, it's very absorbent. You know, so it's always from the very beginning of its history, it's always borrowed from other cultures, other musics, and so it gives and it receives more than perhaps a lot of other music. So it's ideally, it's a good export for America. You know, it's a good thing for us to take out in the world. It opens many doors, and it's welcomed in many places. But it's also a good visitor because it comes and it listens.
Exactly.
The music listens and it's absorbent. It takes things in, and then we bring that home, and it goes into the stew.
Amazing. Very well said. Mr. Ken, how is it for you to be here?
Well, I would say 2 things. The weather is very warm, and the people are very warm. So that's my first impression, is just how I feel very welcome here. And everyone that I've met so far has been so engaging and kind and interested in what we're doing, and just makes me feel so excited to be here.
Wonderful. How about you, Darrell? Because this is your second visit. Second, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when they told you we're going back, how did you feel?
Oh, well, I had actually a lot of things already planned. So when they called me to say you're going back, I literally canceled everything and said, I'm going to go.
Oh, excellent. Okay, we're going to go into a bit more depth
But a
with
very
our
warm
guests.
welcome, guys.
Yes, we're going to go into more depth about why they're here, about the music. You can learn more about jazz and also the collaborations, but we have to go for a short break now, so do stay tuned.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just got tuned into PT World. You watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. And today we have got some amazing musicians over here in the studio who are going to play for us. And what are they basically doing in Pakistan, I think, is the motive behind what we want to know.
Exactly. So we had a little bit of a, you've been invited to come become ambassadors for your country, and social ambassadors. How does that feel as someone, you've been performing on the stage from a very young age, you've represented your country. This is a very specific cultural building visit as well. Is that correct?
It is. I think that what Scott said earlier, was such a great comment in that jazz is a form of music that I think represents American culture well, in that it's very pluralistic. It's a combination of a lot of influences from many different cultures. Okay. So I think that in that sense, it's a music that can sort of illustrate the best of American ideals, in the sense that it allows for many different viewpoints and aspects of different cultures to combine and sort of make something new and harmonious.
So I think I'll move on to Patrick over here. And Patrick, since you have been the jazz ambassador too and you've been traveling the world, what is the message you share when you go and represent jazz, first of all, and being the ambassador of jazz music from your country? So what are you trying to spread? Is it awareness? Is it knowledge about jazz? Is it just jazz music, or you just play and people absorb?
All of the above.
And?
But, well, most countries that we go to, we conduct workshops in the day. So therefore, we do try to show young folks how jazz works. We usually get 2 or 3 days with a group of students, and certainly that's not enough to, it's enough to spark an interest and show them a path, but it's not enough time to show them everything, because we're still all learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a constant learning situation for us. We love what we do. That's a big part of it.
Okay. I think that's very apparent. Like, you can see that. But now, regarding the cultural exchange, you said that, you guys tend, you've all traveled. You're very well traveled. You get to see a unique part of every country that you go to. So I'll ask this to Scott and Michael. I'll start with you, Scott. You mentioned, the beauty of jazz. Now, when you're trying to relay that to someone who's never really been exposed to it, like, so in Pakistan, few people know about jazz, but not everyone does. I'm sure there are pockets, in Africa as well, and all these different countries that people aren't really aware of it. What is the initial reaction that you get? Are people receptive, or is there more like, well, what is this? We have our own music. Why are you trying to influence art style, etc.? Have you ever faced that?
You get a variety of reactions. Sometimes people who've never heard this music are a little bit perplexed, and some of that is natural. I through the course of learning about this music, I'm perplexed at times. And that's not a bad thing. Because I'm perplexed when I walk out in nature and see things out there. So it's not necessary to understand everything, but the beauty can come across. And last night, since you asked this question, last night this young woman came up to me. She was in a headscarf and traditional dress, and she came up to me and she said, "Wow, this is the first time I've ever heard this music. I've heard of it, but I've never heard American jazz, and this is my absolute first experience with it," and she was absolutely thrilled. And I thought to myself, okay, this moment right here, this is why we're here, And her favorite song, she told me, was this piece called "Cake of My Childhood," which is Gabrielle. So I took the opportunity to tell her, well, that's Gabrielle's composition. She's a brilliant writer, and we have a lot of respect for her. So it's gratifying to see that, and maybe we can sow some seeds of possibility.
I'm sure you will. But Michael, the same question to you, but you're playing an instrument that, everyone, we've all been forced to go to piano lessons when we were growing up. Bend your fingers, not straight. So it's an instrument that people are aware of, but you're using it, it's a very unique sound. Jazz is very unique. So how have you found that? Because people probably expect, like, very Mozart, maybe Beethoven type style, classic. I mean, that's the stereotype of, you know, piano. You put it with the classic genre. But with jazz, I mean, when you start playing, what is the reaction for you?
I don't know that I feel any specific reaction related to my instrument.
Okay.
I think for me the thing about jazz is the what we call the groove, the feeling of the rhythm. I think is very engaging to people. It's at its best. It's simple. It's clear. It's welcoming, and I think that's part of its universal appeal.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that all great music has that in common. Maybe it's a different flavor. And also in jazz, that one of the most important aspects of it is improvisation, that we're creating in the moment.
Yeah.
But the Pakistani classical musicians that we played with last night, they were also improvising.
Okay.
So they're, even though the sounds can be very different, there's still similarities. There's still ways to bridge the gap. And for me, that was the thrilling part in the concert we did.
Okay,
last
but
night.
at this point of time, there's this interesting thing which I want to say, and that is that, you know, since all of you, you know, you're elder than me. Thank you very much for that too, by the way.
How do you
But, but there's one thing which I want to
Not
say.
to be controversial.
But there's one thing which I want to say, and that is, since we're talking about jazz music right now, very brilliant, you know. For example, if I go out for a longer drive, I think that's the music I'm going to listen to. But these days, the trends are changing. People are moving on towards electronic music. People are moving towards hip-hop. Do you think that the shelf life of jazz music is more and more? Let's start from you, and let's come down the line.
Well, it's apparent that it is. I mean, all modern music comes from jazz.
Yeah.
So you can't take that element from it, you
Okay.
know. I think the more exposure, I think jazz, sometimes if you're not exposed to it, it can be a little foreign. But once you become exposed and you start understanding a little bit, you grow into it. And I've seen like friends of mine that's like, oh, I only listen to hip hop. I only listen to this. And they're like, why you play jazz? And I'm like, I was like, because
It's a foundation.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a certain way. It's all this creativity. So I said, well, you just haven't heard a good jazz band yet. So I would take them to go see a show. Now, today, they're buying records and like, yo, I just picked up this Dizzy Gillespie, you know, and they love it because it's universal. It's timeless.
Okay.
Right.
And you know, that's a really nice point that you made. Sorry, I just want to ask a little bit, because you highlighted something that it's the basis of all music. You know, you can't get rid of it. It will never, you know, it's there. It's timeless. So can we get a little bit of history about jazz? Because I think that now it's about the education of it. People probably don't realize actually the history and the important role that jazz has played. So can you just share a little bit with us?
Does anybody want to?
Who wants to take this?
The first jazz ambassador was Louis Armstrong, really.
Yes, I know. I was reading.
I mean, he
So you're
took
part of that
he
list.
took this music to Africa and all over Europe and Asia and everywhere. Long time ago.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of following in his footsteps.
Okay.
And
excellent.
I think to sort of dovetail on what Darrell was talking about, you know, I think that sort of it comes, the popularity of jazz or other musics, you know, there are waves, you know, it peaks and it ebbs, but like I know a lot of younger people who are aware of jazz because of artists like Amy Winehouse, who've covered standards, or Lady Gaga, who worked with Tony Bennett. So I think that it goes through periods where it's less popular, but I think there's no expiration date.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I
agree.
think that, thank you very much for saying that, because the only reason I asked was because of the fact that over here in Pakistan, we are more closer to electronic music, kids these days.
Yeah.
And there are people who love jazz too. But other than that, now let's come to a point where
It's
you
hard
guys,
to find the jazz lovers.
because you guys are here for our 70th independence too, you know, Pakistan. We love you, Miri Jan. But as a matter of fact, you guys are here and you guys are going to collaborate with different artists. Now, when you collaborate with different artists, obviously you have to be aware of the type of sound they produce, right? So how much time do you guys really need to probably sit down together, okay, this scale or this knot or E minor or major. So how do you do it?
Sometimes we have no time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're on the bandstand
Improv.
and we have to produce. So
Yeah, I'm so sad I missed this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how was that?
It was great.
I mean, you'll be able to hear some of it on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
If we break down music into the elements, melody, rhythm, harmony, what else is there, fellas?
Feeling.
Feeling. Oh, thank you very much.
Synchronization.
Okay. Jazz musicians
well.
spend their lives deeply learning all of those elements of the music.
Okay.
Okay? So that when we get on the bandstand with whatever music from whatever country, we have to immediately zone in and grab what we can.
Gosh.
And our studying of the music for years allows that to happen quickly.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Since you've got these bachelor degrees as well and whatnot, so you've been to institutions. What if somebody's off the scale anyways? What do you guys do? Do you guys
We go with them.
Yeah.
No, we go with them.
We make it work.
We do the same thing, so make them sound right.
Yep.
I just wanted to add, you know, Michael was talking about the fact that improvisation is such a big part of jazz music, and also the Pakistani musicians were improvising. What we do so often, I think, as jazz musicians, we find ourselves on gigs where you're working with musicians that maybe you haven't worked with before.
Yeah.
You know, you're working with like all these different configurations of bands. So I think for us, there's actually a comfort level. We know that if we can get on the bandstand and listen to each other and respond and just be open to having a musical conversation, you can make music.
So now you guys have performed in Islamabad. You guys will be traveling to Lahore and Karachi too. What expectations do you have, and who are you guys collaborating with?
So we are working with some Qawwali musicians.
Yep, in Karachi,
coming up.
right?
I'm really excited to meet new people. I've learned through previous tours that I've done as a jazz ambassador that whatever assumptions I make are almost always wrong.
Okay.
And that's something really beautiful that I've taken from these experiences. So I feel like I do my best to just walk in, you know, I don't really, I try not to get locked into any expectations. I feel excited and open to see what the experience is going to be.
Very interesting thing, and that is that, you know, whenever my wife assumes, so I kind of share a piece of advice. Patrick, what advice do you make to her?
Wait, I'm sorry.
What did you say when your wife? What?
Start again.
So whenever my wife is assuming about things,
Oh,
I give her a
assumption.
piece of advice, yeah.
Oh, making assumptions.
God, what?
Well, there is an expression about making assumptions, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, we can't go into that because we'll get fired.
No, but as a husband, you might say something there, okay, calm down, you know, relax. It's going to be all right.
Exactly. It's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
get
I
rid
leave
of
it at that
first. Yeah.
because
So I think
I'll
that's
let her
what we
have her
need to do.
assumptions.
We
It's
need
Okay,
to
wait.
make it all right. You
Yeah,
want
we,
to
yeah,
He's
that's-
also not in charge of me, just
Yeah, exactly.
side note.
Exactly. So anyway, moving on from this really awkward conversation, Darrell, I want to ask you. You've been here before, and Shazad mentioned about expectations of, you know, if it's something new or you have an idea of a culture. You've been here before, so this time when you came, and you know you're here with these guys, did you have expectations from beforehand from your last trip, or this time you're like, no, this is going to be a new experience, new visit? Or do you feel like a seasoned pro now at Pakistan?
No, I mean, you know, for me, it was just like I had such a great time last time meeting the people and just collaborating and everything that I was excited to come back.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back, like I was telling some friends from last night, I was like, wow, it feels almost like, you know, like going back to like a second home or something. Like, oh, wow, you know.
Excellent.
You know, so it's really beautiful. I really enjoy being here. And
Okay, and one thing, from the last time, the collaborations you did to this time, did you keep that up? Did you manage to like spread the word of your trip, you know, the cultural like program that you did last time? You know, were you able to go back? Because it's not just about educating Pakistanis in Pakistan about the American culture and the importance of jazz. It's about going back and relaying that, you know, this is not a war-torn terrorist country.
Yeah.
well, yeah, and that's very important because, and so in many conversations, people are like, oh, so what, and I'm like, oh, I just got back from Pakistan. They're like, what? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so how was it? So those things are important. I've had that conversation a lot actually since the last time I was here.
Okay.
And it was great because people are like, oh, really? You know, it gives them insight because now they know somebody who has like firsthand experience as opposed to whatever's on the news or what they're reading. You know,
so what do you tell them?
Oh, I told them what I just told you. It's beautiful. The people, the food, the weather, everything. I was like, and it was like, oh, were you worried about this and you worried about that? I was like, no, I wasn't. It was.
But majority of the people who actually travel from abroad and when they come on the show and when we ask them, which cuisine do you like? So most of them say biryani. Have you ever tried biryani?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you like it?
He likes it.
How about you? What is your favorite dish over here, Michael?
Let's see.
You forgot.
I raided the breakfast buffet this morning, and I had something with chickpeas that was spicy and amazing.
Okay,
that stuff is great.
Chana.
Yeah, that stuff is great.
Love.
Yeah, and some things that I just don't know the names of.
And that's what we ate today as well. We
had
chickpeas
chana.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent.
Nuts halva.
Halwa.
Yeah,
The nuts, the
Oh,
one that's made
yes,
of
I
nuts.
had
Halva.
that.
Okay, so you had halva puri and
So
stuff.
good,
Chana.
yeah.
Okay. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, the same. We've been eating all the same stuff.
So you
I've
guys
been
just-
probably having
that
more
looks
of
good.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
So I think it's about time that we listen to a bit of jazz music too.
Great.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
get started then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time after time, I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you. So lucky to be the one you run to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know. The passing years will show. You've kept my love so young, so new, and time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. Time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. So lucky to be that one you run to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know. I know the passing years, they'll show that you've kept my love so young, so new. And time after time, you're gonna hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. Time after time after time, you're gonna hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. I'm so lucky to be the one you run to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know, but I know that the passing years will show that you have kept my love so young, so new. And time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you, so lucky to be
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Time After Time. It was beautiful. Thank you very much for playing it so superbly and amazing. That was mesmerizing too.
Okay.
Well, I'm good at it all.
Okay. All right, Shazad. All right. Anyway, so now moving on. You guys have just performed. You also released your album earlier this year, and I've just closed my diary, and I don't know why I keep doing that.
Perfectly all right.
But
Take your time.
it's called Dream Ago.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the title track, Dream Ago, is a song that I wrote, and I co-wrote most of the songs with Pat, and also a friend at home who's a lyricist. We've collaborated on the words together for some of the tunes. Jason Robinson. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
Hi, Jason.
So the title track is a song I wrote about my father. He passed away 9 years ago and was a really important part of my life and was a really amazing and supportive dad. And I mention him in several of the songs. Cake of My Childhood, Scott mentioned before, is a song from the album that we performed last night.
Excellent.
And it's also a song about, sort of that was inspired by some travels that we had.
Okay, and you know, pardon my ignorance, but you know, you guys are, you know, it's Darrell Stravelli Jazz Quintet. So how much, you know, how much is it of, you know, a group?
This is what I wanted to ask you. You just stole my words. So how did you get to meet each other and then form a band?
That's not what I asked. I asked about the album, but
The group.
let's start from the group and then we can move to the collaboration on the album and, you know, how you get different musicians and artists to get involved.
Well, Pat has connected me with a lot of great people. I met both Scott and Michael through Pat.
Excellent.
And I met Pat about 9 years ago. I went into a club in New York to sing, and he was playing the bass.
Oh, wonderful. So cute. Sorry, that's a great story.
I can't even
like
say,
this story.
oh, that's very girly, right?
No, it's not. But then, okay,
Not a man's thing, right?
so then when...
It's all right, what?
When, so when you guys met and then you got introduced to everyone else, so when did you say, okay, great, this is going to work musically?
Well, we've been writing music together for a long time.
Okay.
It has
So,
been quite a few years.
Probably 9 years.
Okay, so since you met.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, right from the beginning.
There was a tune, a sort of arrangement I'd been trying to work out for 2 years maybe before I met Pat. And then I met him and I brought it to him and I said, I'm really trying to make this idea happen and nobody seems to be able to really make it work. Can we try it? And
it worked.
it clicked.
We figured it out.
Excellent. Okay.
But there's one more thing which I wanted to ask. Sorry, that
I'm
you know,
trying to ask
all of these things they keep on coming in, and that is that over here in Pakistan, I'm very sorry to say this, but I'm being honest.
Right.
And what happens is that, you know, whenever you form a band and whenever you hit a certain strata, so what happens is that the band dismantles. You know, so everybody starts
Game
fighting
over.
and, you know, whatnot and whatnot. You know, this is what we have seen over here in Pakistan too, right? We've got a,
He's getting like...
we've got an evidence over here. So now for you guys and for the music culture over there in US, how does things work? Do people stick together for years and years and decades, or do people just, you know,
We're going to
go
start
away?
fighting this morning. About 5 minutes we'll start fighting.
He's just singing,
But
yeah.
I'm just
I'm also
asking
young.
for our learning. So how does it work? How do you make it stay a group?
You have to like
Well,
each
part
other.
of democratic society.
Well, respect is a lot of it. We respect the leader. That's number one, you know. And then the, you know, the friendships that exist among us already, like Pat and myself going way, way back, and a little bit less so with Michael. Darrell, I just met I played with him the same time, the first time we played with those two Pakistanis two nights
amazing.
ago.
Wow.
So actually, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Well, another aspect is that all of us play with a lot of different bands.
Yes, see that. I was
So that keeps our interest fresh. And I might play with some other singers. And then maybe I'll learn something, and then I'll want to bring that to Gabrielle and say, oh, well, let's try this idea. You know, so there's always a lot of cross-pollination of ideas.
No, so this is where I was going to lead the conversation to next from the question, was that, you know, you guys do perform with a lot of different artists, really established in this field, and, you know, they're doing great. So how, I think you've answered it in the sense that you take a lot of things, but does it ever get that you've learned something from one person or one group that you're performing with, and you've tried to share that with another group, but it hasn't really worked? What happens when you really want something to work and it's not? What do you do then?
That
Does that ever happen?
Absolutely, that happens all the time.
Okay.
But you just, well, it's kind of like what Pat was saying earlier. You just find a way to make it work.
Okay.
And in jazz, I actually wanted to touch on something that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think necessarily that jazz strives for perfection, like this is the perfect performance. Jazz strives to just be in this moment right now. And a lot of times, mistakes yield the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
It's true.
You don't know what's going to happen. And our challenge is to take whatever's happening right now with these people and find a way to make something beautiful.
So let's be in the moment. Let's do it one more time.
Okay.
So what are you going to sing now?
We're going to do, so we've prepared, time after time, and also this next piece are two American standards that were written in the year 1947, and we chose to do that to honor and celebrate the 70th anniversary of the
Thank you
founding
very
of
much for
Pakistan.
doing
Very
that.
thoughtful.
Pakistan Zindabad.
Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you very much for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's take a look.
coming your way.
A heaven that I've never known. The blush on your cheek whenever I sleep tells me you are my own. You fill my eager heart with such desire. Every kiss you give sets my soul on fire. I give myself in sweet surrender. My one and only The touch of your hand is just like heaven, a heaven that I've never known. The blush on your cheek whenever I speak tells me you are my own. You fill my eager heart with such desire. Every kiss you give sets my soul on fire. I give myself in sweet surrender. My one and only love. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being that. That was
so in the
wonderful.
moment, honestly.
Okay, so now we actually run out of time already, and I have so many more questions to ask, but I haven't been able to fit them in because of the conversation. But with Darrell, a final question. You know, your second time here, you're going to be going to Lahore and Karachi. You're going to be performing at universities, colleges. From last time to this time, you said it was like coming home. But do you think that you're going to come back again? Is it going to be a regular thing? And what do you hope to achieve from this trip? So 2 questions.
Okay, yeah, I definitely, I hope to come back again soon.
Okay.
I was speaking yesterday, I was saying I don't want it to be like, oh, you know, I went to Pakistan twice and I haven't been back in like 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to somehow get back more regularly, you know,
Okay.
like maybe once a year or so.
That'd be
or
amazing.
something like that, you know,
Okay.
that'd be really nice.
Excellent.
As far as what I plan on taking or whatever from these experiences, I'm just looking forward to whatever might happen, you know, to learn and to grow. I mean, also just talking with Pakistani people is just such interesting conversations. It's like, wow, I never thought about
The
that.
cultural, God, something English is hard. Okay, just ruined that moment.
I just said thank you.
Okay, and after, so your interaction with people as well, wonderful. And one final thing about your trip. When you go back and people ask you, oh, you've gone back now 2 times, why don't you just move there or something? Like, you know, have you faced any the negative reaction? How are you going to deal with those? Because there's a lot of social unrest and, you know, ignorance these days.
Yes, but I mean, I think the one thing, somebody might start off negative, but once you have a discussion with them and you explain, it's no longer negative conversation. I mean, it's more ignorance. People don't know. They just know what was propagated to them.
Okay.
Beautiful.
You know?
Great.
Thank you
Wonderful.
very much,
so
and we hope to have you guys back again as well. But last
for our
message is anything you guys want to say, we'll start with you.
Michael.
Thank you for having us. We love it
And
here.
for
we
Michael,
look
it was
forward
such
to
a
the
relaxing
adventure.
interview, you know, all this time. Well, thank you very much.
How about you, Scott?
I hope to be back as well. It's just, it's too bad that you're so far away.
You're too far away.
That's what it is.
And how are you, Pat?
We'll meet somewhere in Europe.
Thanks for having us. We already put a down payment on a house, so we'll see you.
Wonderful.
Soon.
And
Thank you very
Gabrielle.
much.
We're really grateful for the opportunity to make one-on-one connections with people. We think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And leads to understanding and conversation. So we thank Pakistanis very much for having us.
Thank you
very
so much for
and
being
we're not
here.
going to end over here. We're going to wrap the show, and then obviously once
Your
again
final
we'll
song.
be in the moment, right?
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Daily Motion and YouTube,
Well, this morning.
and the fabulous repeat's going to be at
5 past 11 p.m., 11:05 p.m. in the evening, all right?
in the night.
Yeah. So
All
don't
right.
ask me after the show what
Over
time
to
it's
you
on.
guys.
This is the end of a beautiful friendship. It ended a moment ago. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. I know, for your eyes told me so. We were always just like a sister and brother until tonight when we looked at each other. That was the end of a beautiful friendship and just the beginning of love. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. It ended a moment ago. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. I know, for your eyes they told me so. We were always just like a sister and brother until tonight.